Hello, everybody.
That stopwatch is a great idea.
It's just a clock, yeah.
Yeah.
Just because we don't know how to keep track of time. It's not like we have a watch or a phone or anything that tells me, but I just never look at it.
It's great.
But here, there's no denying.
It's impossible to miss now.
No, exactly.
That's
Can
fantastic.
you read military time?
Yeah, when I really think about it,
Right.
I have to remind myself every time that 13 is 1.
Do you know what my trick is?
What?
Whatever like the second digit is, just -2 from that, and that's
Oh.
the time.
So it's 6:07.
Yeah. And then when it's 19, -2 is 7.
I'm never going to forget that.
Yeah.
That's
It's so much easier. And then when it's 20,
Yeah.
you just mind it, like think of it as 10. So -2 from the, it's 8. So 20.
wow.
Yeah.
Because literally every time that I'm trying to read like military time, I literally go 13, 14. And it's the worst.
Just -2 from the second digit, and there you go.
Wow. Did you figure that out on your own or did somebody tell you that?
No, I did all by myself.
Wow.
All by myself. That's
You're
how
an
we read
adult.
time. Yep. Well, like I had to do it for past jobs and stuff. Like had to have stuff written in military time and things like that. And I was just too dumb to try to figure it out. But then work smarter, not harder, right?
Wow. Look at you.
Okay. Well, here we are.
Yeah, we're rolling.
2 weeks later, and I look a lot more alive than last time. I was just saying before the show. So as soon as we were done recording last show, packed up everything, and I think I was in bed asleep by 9:15.
So you were like, I was home for a few minutes and then you were in bed pretty
Yes.
much. Wow.
Yeah. What time did we wrap up and like leave? It was like maybe like 7:30. Yeah. I watched an episode of The Sopranos and just conked out on the couch, and I was like, can't do this. So then just immediately went to bed.
I love that you're watching The Sopranos.
Yeah. I'd never seen it before.
Yeah, I haven't really either. My dad used to watch it. He has like all the whole box set of it. I've never really watched it.
nice.
I know the ending of the show,
Right.
but I've never really watched it.
Yeah. So I tried to watch it, but haven't picked it up since. Well, I fell asleep during the first
Yeah,
one,
fair
so-
enough. That's not a great look for it.
Yeah,
You know
no.
what show I never picked up, and I know it's like people are gonna give me shit for this because it's like, and you probably will as well.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad.
Oh.
Just never got into it. I tried twice.
Yeah.
The first time I got to the episode in season 1 where like the body falls through the bathtub or whatever.
Right.
And that didn't gross me out. I just like stopped watching at that point for whatever reason. And then during the summer when I had my surgery and I was in bed like for however many weeks, Jen and I tried watching, or I mean she's seen it before, but she got me to watch, and I made it a little bit farther through the first season, but again I just stopped. I don't know why. It didn't not catch my attention, and everybody tells me that it's this unbelievable show.
Kind of is.
I just didn't watch any more
That's
of it.
fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. You know, shit happens.
Yeah.
You don't watch it.
I have a really a fun personal announcement.
Oh, cool. You pregnant?
No, I replaced my favorite black pants.
Oh, yes. Are those the pants you're wearing right now?
I'm wearing them right now, baby.
Okay, hold on. I have to cut to you. There we go.
Yeah, so people watching on the YouTubes, yeah, go watch on YouTube.
Oh, those are joggers.
Yeah, they are. These are the exact same ones that I had.
Oh, really?
Went to a boathouse and found I just told the person or the lady that was there, this was the brand. Do you still have them? She took me to a place. They were on sale, so I got 2 of them.
Oh, smart.
So big announcement for me.
Nice.
Replaced my dead pants.
Nice.
So-
You got on that Lulu game?
I do. I have 2 pairs of Lulus.
Yeah.
One of them, I mean, like humble brag.
Uh-huh.
One of them I got for free. So
Because did you like do the replacement thing or
no, it's
you
because
just-
when I was working for the Canucks last year, that was like our uniform was these Lululemon
Oh,
pants.
sick.
So I
Nice
was
uniform.
working in comfort
Yeah.
every game that I was getting a pie thrown in my face. My legs were so comfortable. It was
That's
unreal.
great. Their return policy is really good. Like I had a pair of ABC pants that I wore like every day.
Yeah.
And then it started to get the thunder thighs came through a little bit, and there was a little rip in the seam. So I just take it back, and they're like, yeah, just go grab a new pair.
What?
Yeah, the return policy is insane.
No way.
So I replaced them with these ones.
Yeah.
And then I bought another pair just because, like, well,
They're
if they
great
lasted
pants.
like this long, and I literally wear them every day. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, one last thing before the day after our last recording, I woke up and I had a training that next day, and I had this eye twitch.
Oh.
So when like it's not like for the full day, but like it'll just come for like it's literally twitching right now.
I know
touched
exactly what you're talking about.
I touched it and it just started twitching. So it's been 2 weeks.
And it won't go away.
It won't go away. So when you Google eye twitch, it's like 4 things. It's too much caffeine, not enough sleep, stress, or dry eyes. That's literally the only things, apart from like, the most crazy
and do all of those
diagnosis.
Do all of those apply to you?
I have one. I have 1 cup of coffee in the morning. That's it.
Okay.
So I tried to not drink that 1 cup of coffee in the morning.
Uh-huh.
I only did it for a day, but like didn't work.
Okay.
So sleep, obviously like that day before, right? I slept for like 11 hours, 10 hours. Sleep hasn't been that affected. So then I was maybe dry eyes. So because I wear contacts, I don't know. And then, of course, it didn't work. And then stress. That was the last thing. So I guess I'm just stressed out. So that's the hardest one to try to
like, how do you get rid of that?
Right? How do you get rid of that? So I stopped like for, again, like everything. And I'll probably touch on this a little bit later on as well. But just like keeping up with life and stress and things like that. Like I used to, obviously, like going to the gym is super important for that upkeep. But I also did a lot of yoga before. So I did yoga this morning, and that time that it twitched was only the 3rd time today that it twitched.
And that's an improvement?
That's an improvement.
That's great.
So, fucking stress.
Yeah, that'll get you.
It's just, and of course, yoga. Got to do yoga. Yoga's actually great.
Did you ever get into like meditating at all? Have you ever done that? Really?
Yep.
Yeah. There's a I'm sure you've probably heard of it, or maybe you've even used it. Is that app called Headspace?
I've heard of it. I don't use it though. I do some other thing with, with meditation, but I like the learning aspect from meditation, like the reason why, not just like sit still and think about the calmness and everything like that. I like to know why I'm meditating, like the reason behind it.
Okay.
So there's certain types of meditations for different types of things, like meditation for depression or ADHD or anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And figuring out what the reasoning behind it, like why the yogi said that this is the reason that you should meditate.
Yeah.
And what it does, what it activates, things like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not like super big into like but like I am, it's really weird. Like obviously like Reiki people or whatever,
What is that?
A Reiki, the Reiki master?
No, what is that?
My mother's a Reiki master. It's like going to a massage, but they don't touch you. It's just energy healing. It's just like,
and you still pay for, you have to pay for that?
I don't know. It's just my mom. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, fair.
But
I don't.
But there's a lot of things to do with like chakras and meditation and things like that.
Okay.
But I'm more the science-based approach for meditation. Like, sometimes it helps.
Yeah.
Sometimes it helps. It's just kind of what it goes down into.
Yeah, I go through like phases of it. I used to do it when I first heard about that Headspace app. They have this really cool like 10-day, like you could pay for the premium version or whatever, or the free one was like this 10-day thing. You do it like once a day for 10 straight days, and each one is 10 minutes long. And the guy's voice, he was this British guy. He has the best voice ever that I've ever heard.
That was the hurdle for me. I don't know but the voice. I couldn't.
Yeah, you got to find it. You got to find one that works for you. Well, I mean, I guess that's the downfall of guided meditation is you need if it's a bad voice for you, you're totally
completely
totally out of it.
Yeah.
For me personally, this guy's voice was unreal, and me and Jen actually recently found that Headspace is now on Netflix, which is so cool. So it's like this interactive thing where you can choose what kind of meditation you want to do, and in certain ones the guy's voice is in it, and other ones it's this girl's voice. And when we did one night before we were going to bed, we did the Headspace thing again. It was like 10 or 15 minutes or whatever, and I was kind of against it at first because I was thinking this isn't the guy's voice. I don't want to do it unless it's that guy's voice. But then her voice ended up being like incredible.
That's good.
And it made me. I remember saying afterwards, I want to do this every night because I feel so good right now afterwards. I don't know. I 100%. The people that have the same mindset, like where you were like, sometimes it works, sometimes I totally get that because I'm the same way. Sometimes it makes me feel good, and other times it doesn't. But when it does, I feel so good. Yeah,
there was this one that I did with the one that I do, and I'll show it to you after. It's awesome. It's like this guy that does Twitch. He's like a Harvard psychiatrist, healthy gamer, TG.
Oh yeah, when I was streaming for a little while, I
did tell you, that's what I was doing. So, but anyway, like doing one of those guided ones, and like I did it, and then like when it was over, it was just silence, everywhere. Yeah, and I was like, oh,
this is wild. I didn't mean for us to get on this long tangent of meditation, but there's one more that I want. When I was in broadcasting school. one of the classes that we had to take was a performance class, because obviously we have to learn about like projecting our voice and how to talk in front of crowds and so on and so on. And in the early days of the class, we would always do these like warm-ups to get us like into the mood of like performance or whatever. And we were doing it all over Zoom at the time, so it was a little weird that way. But one morning our teacher got us to do this guided meditation, and this one was 15 minutes, so it was the longest I've ever done one for. Every other one that I've ever done has been 10 minutes. And the feeling that I had, it was again guided meditation, so you have like sounds and voices in your ears the whole time. And I remember halfway through it feeling like I was sitting at my computer desk, my laptop in front of me, and I remember feeling like I was the smallest. Like I remember thinking like if I were to look up right now, that's where my computer desk is. Like I feel like I'm sitting on the floor right now. And then all of a sudden the 15 minutes was up, and like I felt like I was coming out of a high at the end of it, because I was so discombobulated. Like, where am I? Yeah. How big am I?
Right.
Where is my desk? But it was cool. I felt great afterwards.
Yeah. No, it's a good time. And I mean, I guess we can kind of touch on that later on when we talk about this, which I mean, we can kind of jump into. Do you have anything before?
I just want to before we get into. So we're talking about the Wonder Years today.
Yes.
As we've been teasing for a couple of weeks now, because we finally found the documentary. But before we get there, we gotta I feel like this has become like a segment for us now.
What are you listening to?
What are you listening to?
What are you listening to?
Colton,
would you believe me if I said I was listening to the Wonder Years?
I would absolutely believe you. Would you believe me if I told you that I listened to the Wonder Years on my way over here?
Dude, me too. Actually. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Like not much since.
Yeah,
but we do have to talk about Spotify Wrapped.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'm glad that I sent you some, or we sent each other screenshots, or
yeah, because it's. Oh no, I still have it here. So it's I don't care. I don't care. I love seeing everybody's Wrapped.
Tell me you don't care one more time.
I don't care. I love seeing what everybody is listening to. That is the one day a year. Well, I will go through like as many stories as I can on Instagram to see what people are listening to.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, I'm so obsessed with it.
You've told me before, actually, like I remember in the early days of Spotify, I remember you telling me it's like one of your favorites, like social medias, because it's such a different way to creep somebody to see what their stuff is.
And that's gone. It's not gone, but like you can only view what other people are listening to on the desktop of Spotify. Mm-hmm. And I found that like all of a sudden, like 3/4 of the people who I followed and like saw what they're listening to are gone. And that disappoints me. I want to see what people are listening to. Oops. So yeah, I mean, so we put our top artists on our story, right?
Yeah, and we got people to guess and it was very obvious.
Very obvious, right? I know. I'm the fraud. I'm the sham. I don't have any. I think I have one. It was Turnover. I think that was like the
one like
big
pop
one,
punk-ish.
yeah. Which I mean, they were pop punk,
yeah.
And I would love to do an episode like on Turnover and like progression of pop punk bands.
Yeah.
Where I would
yeah, that'd be a cool episode.
So yeah, okay, my number one artist was Turnover. Okay, so that's good. Rainbow Kitten Surprise.
I don't know that.
Man, it's so good.
What kind of music is that?
I'd say like alternative, but also kind of like emo.
Okay.
But more alternative than anything. Like they remind me a lot of Modest Mouse.
Yeah. Okay.
So I really like them, and then Said the Whale, love Said the Whale. Vince Staples, and then Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah.
What a mixed bag. Crazy.
Do you have in front of you what your top genres were? Do you remember that off the top of your head, or have that in front of you?
Yeah, I actually screen recorded my stories just to make it easier to
find,
to navigate through. So my top genres?
Yeah.
Okay, so rap, modern rock, indie pop, and then 5 is pop punk.
Okay.
And I think the reason was because mainly we just like started, recording and doing all these things. So it was rekindling it, right?
Course,
so what about you?
Top genres for me was pop punk, pop, emo, pop rap, and indie pop.
Hell yeah, dude. Is pop in every one of those?
Except for emo, yeah. And then my top artists were No Pressure.
Okay.
The story so far, like side project.
Yeah.
Hot Mulligan, Shocker. Logic, Machine Gun Kelly, which I'm really embarrassed about.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I was like, you sure you want to put that out there?
Yeah, I was really embarrassed about that.
Is it like it's? Oh no, because I mean the first one.
I was very open that I liked the first
Yeah.
and then my last one was Youth Fountain, who I'm a really big fan of Youth Fountain.
Nice.
Like, local guy. My top songs are the first two are the same song, just one's an acoustic version. So it's Backyard by Hot Mulligan.
Yeah.
The acoustic version,
Yeah.
and then the the full band version, and then I have this song called Falling Slowly, Lock It Up by No Pressure, and wrap it up with Drink Milk and Run by Hot Mulligan.
Nice.
So I'm very predictable.
Mine were just so so the thing is that when I find a song that I like, I'll just listen to it constantly.
Totally. Yeah.
And like the most plays I had was a song called Fafo, which is like fuck around and find out. By Zach Fox, and I saw it on a TikTok. I literally saw it on TikTok. I was like, man, this song sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Searched it, and I just have not stopped listening to it for the first half of the year. And then because you get sick of it and you don't like pay attention to it, but man, that song's actually like it's super catchy.
Hell yeah.
Then I got Headshots for the Locals, Isaiah Rashad, so good. Rainbow Kitten Surprise it's called Free Fall. Floors by Abby the Nomad, and then One Way Trip by No Pressure. Weird thing. I think only one of these bands showed up in my top artists.
Really?
Yep. So Zach Fox, Isaiah Rashad, Abby the Nomad, and No Pressure were singles that made my top songs, but my top artists were, Rainbow Kitten Surprise was the only one that showed up.
That's so interesting.
That's weird.
Yeah. Big fan of like singles then, I guess.
Yeah, that's one of the things with Spotify. It's very like playlist driven versus artist driven.
Yeah.
So songs are usually the big things.
Fair enough.
That are being played, so.
Okay, so do you have anybody else other than the Wonder Years that you've been listening to, or is that pretty much?
That's pretty much been it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look at my recently played, but yeah, it's honestly just been that. It's just been podcasts and just like music that makes you feel like you're floating.
Yeah.
So just any genre for that.
Very cool. I'm really big into those like I don't know when you say like music that makes you feel like you're floating. I don't know if you're necessarily talking about like just instrumental stuff or electronic, like without lyrics or whatever.
Anything.
I find when I was still in school and I was like studying, or if I'm like writing something when I'm like writing about lacrosse or whatever, I find those like lo-fi. Like 24 hour
beats.
They like get me through things sometimes.
Lo-fi girls good. They have a Spotify like account channel, and like they'll post the songs like in a playlist.
That's sick.
But I stopped listening to them on Spotify because it fucked up my algorithm, and like my Discover Weekly was all just like weird lo-fi stuff. So I only listen to them on YouTube now.
Yeah, fair enough.
Man.
I've been listening a lot to this band. It's a pop punk band called. I didn't know how to pronounce their name for the longest time because the band is just WSTR. And then when like looking it up, because I didn't want to just say like I don't know how to say this. So it's actually their band name is called Waster. Which is kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But some Canadian band already had that name.
Waster.
Yeah, spelled like because originally this band that I'm talking about, their band name was Waster, like the word full, like fully spelled out. And then this Canadian band, I guess, had the same name and sent them a cease and desist. So they just changed their name to WSTR, but it's still pronounced Waster. Anyway, I guess jokes on the Canadian band.
It's such a thing to just get rid of the vowels and.
I know. Fall Out Boy was big on that.
Yeah,
they love doing that.
Thanks for the memories.
Dog.
Thanks for
the memories. All right, should we hop into the topic of the show?
Let's hop into it.
Okay. Let's talk.
I think this is a band that really deserves as we're doing its own episode.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why this band is the Wonder Years is so important to, I guess, like the older demographics of pop punk, like people like I don't have kids. You don't have kids. One day we're going to have kids. But there are people in our Discord, in our community who do have kids, and like looking at comments, you see like when this band first put out an EP or their album, it was like probably the end of the 2000s, right? And like in that 2010s era is kind of like where a lot of like millennials and stuff were like able to kind of grow up with this band. So this album, this documentary, the album a little bit more so, just I think means a lot to the people of this genre and pop punk. And just looking at like watching the documentary, it's so cool to see the passion that these guys have, that these guys are making music 100% for the Wonder Years fans.
Yeah.
Like I wrote down some quotes that I was listening to and things like that. And it was just like, it was Dan Campbell. It was like, I don't give a fuck if we don't have or get a single new fan from this album.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's just like, or we also said like, if you're not going to, if you're, the only reason you're making an album is because your contract says you have to make an album, get the fuck out. Don't make a fucking album.
Yeah. I love that.
So good. So yeah, I put the doc on today. Actually, I was just watching it like kind of in spurts and things like that. And yeah, it's cool. Like different documentaries for different bands and stuff is always something that like I enjoy, just to kind of see behind the scenes. I love the behind the scenes, and watching it really just kind of put me back to like when we were recording our EP.
Yeah.
Obviously not to the same level of like what they were doing, but just like being in the studio and things like that is just like, it's such a fun place to be, because it's just like that is the source of all the creativity and like where you get to actually bring it to life. And obviously there's a lot that goes in before that, but like this is where you get to write and create and be a part of that. So it's just cool to see like all the different people who actually went into making that album.
Yeah. It's funny because when I was watching it, I went through like a wave of emotions throughout. So first of all, go out and watch the documentary if you haven't. It's on their YouTube channel. The Wonder Years Band is the YouTube channel, and the documentary is called Coughing Out Embers. Obviously, it's centered around their latest album called The Hum Goes On Forever. But I remember thinking, like at the beginning of it, you know, like you're trying to find, like, you're trying to figure out the vibe of the documentary, like it's getting better and better as it goes along. And then when it gets to the point where you are seeing them in not even necessarily the studio, but in, I think they rented an Airbnb at one point.
Yeah.
And also the other thing, I didn't realize this was filmed during COVID.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. So it was super interesting to hear and watch how the process that they had to go through, how they had to do their quarantine, and they had to have these negative tests so that they could just be in this. And they were originally just supposed to be recording an EP throughout this Airbnb stay, and then it rolled into some of these songs were too good for the EP according to them, and they wanted them to be on the album, which was cool. But I remember thinking I was sad watching them go through the creative process of starting to write these things, because it, like, we've been in a band before, like a couple times in the past, and me and my brother Dom, we've had some recorded stuff, but in present day I don't really play music that often, only occasionally. So but
there's damn shame.
It sucks. And there was a time in my life where that was the only goal, was I'm going to be in a band and I'm going to ride this thing out as long as it can go. And every day that I was at work, I was thinking of new song ideas, and anything that happened in my head was like, that would be a cool lyric. How can I? And I used to have a book that was full of like half written songs, and so on and so on. And then like we would have band practices at Alan's house, or in the very early days in my dad's garage.
You toss out some ideas and
you just like see what you can come up with. So, and this is no shot at the Wonder Years. It was just watching that was making me sad, because it was making me think like, man, like we used to be doing this, and it was so fun, and it was such an important and like prevalent part of my life, and now it hardly exists anymore. And that really sucks. And it's no one's fault. It's my own. Like you get busy, like you find different interests, that things take over, whatever. So that was kind of my first emotion that I remember thinking while watching the documentary. The next one that rolled in was when I saw they were recording at Studio 606. The Dave Grohl studio with the iconic, it's called the Neve. Is that what the mixer is called? Part of the Sound City documentary. If you haven't watched that, go watch Sound City. It's incredible. You won't regret it.
Yeah.
But seeing that they were recording in there and getting to see those rooms again, because I not that I've been there, but I was watching the documentary. Just watched the documentary. It was really cool to see this. This is a pop punk band that, you know, we've talked about how pop punk is usually like a stepping stone, or it's kind of at the bottom of the genres.
Yeah.
And they're in this like notorious studio where recording with this machine where iconic bands have recorded with this machine before and in these rooms. So it was really, it was like a really cool thought for me to be like, here we are.
Yeah.
Like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And here we are as if like I'm there too, but like, here we are, baby. Like the genre, we're here.
And it was the same thing for me as well, watching Michael Kennedy, the drummer, get set up and everything. And it just took me back to when we were doing that. And I had such a hard time keeping on track.
Oh,
with
really?
the drums. Yeah. Remember you guys had to like come play while I was recording so I could like stay on time.
Oh.
And like
I do vaguely remember
hearing
that.
the click track and just like being so in time with that, it is very hard. And that like you could, like he was saying that in the doc, that like you have to, it's a lot of hurry up and wait, right? You got to wait for 8-9 hours and then be ready to go as soon as they're set up and everything. And you got to play like perfectly. And it's just like, that's tough.
Yeah.
It's hard. And so again, like you said, that process of like, we did the same things. And I think that's what makes, again, the documentary and the album special, is because when you look at pop punk typical songs, a lot of them are about nostalgia, right? Prolonging or looking about, you know, what we did in the past. Oh, I wish we did this thing in the past. And I think what this kind of album does a little bit differently, it's about the realization of growing up and leaving things behind. And like, there's things to look forward to now, obviously, with, you know, growing up and having kids and a family, and actually like a reason to keep fighting and stay alive basically for that. So, but I do feel the same way. It's just like, stuff was so fun to do. But like, there's a point where it's just like, where does it go from there? Yeah. A lot of it's luck at the end of the day.
Totally. And it's interesting that you, like, one of the things you just mentioned there when you're talking about sort of the meaning of the album a little bit was like continuing to try to fight and staying alive, essentially. It's interesting because there's even a point in the documentary where Dan Campbell, the singer, Soupy, a lot of people call him, anybody with the last name Campbell gets nicknamed Soupy.
Yeah, of course.
He talks about how, I mean, he's talking, first of all, like, I know I said this already, go watch the documentary. Don't let this stop you from watching the documentary because it's so good. But he's talking about the purpose behind this album and how he kind of wants to audit his sadness a little bit. And while keeping that in mind, he's also aware that his 2 young children will eventually be watching this. Yeah. And he says to the camera, kind of directed at his children directly, he's saying, I want you guys to know that me being sad, or this sadness that I'm trying to figure out, has nothing to, I think I wrote down the quote exactly. What did I have here? His sadness comes from a place of being afraid of failing you, not in any absence of like them coming into this world, of them like joining his existence, I think is what he said. Yeah. And when we see them in that Airbnb and they're starting to come up with song ideas and so on and so on, one of the things that Soupy says is he brings this song forward that I guess he had shown them before, and the first line in the song is "I don't want to die."
Yeah, it's the opening track.
Yeah, and he says, and the thing that I found so interesting about this is long before they've started recording the album. This is them coming up with ideas, and he says, "I want to revisit this because I think that opening line would be a really powerful way to start the album." Yeah, and this was when, like, when they're in the Airbnb, they're supposed to be recording this EP. Like, they're not even working on the album yet. And he's talking about, I think this is going to be a really powerful start to the album. Yeah. I thought that was incredible. And we've talked about how, for me personally, I really like wordy lyrics and wordy songs. for me, like Soupy is one of those guys, and I'm so interested in the way he writes. So that's why I was so intrigued by this documentary, because I've always been really, intrigued by his process and how he gets to certain lyrics and how he sings things.
Well, he even said like this album was like the saddest he's ever been.
Yeah.
When writing it, and I mean, a lot of it does come out, but it's just it's because him and the band, they do such a good job of telling a story. And that's so evident in Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties.
Totally. How
you can really develop a story of characters through your own experiences. And that just goes to like the things that they teach you in like high school, right?
Yeah.
Right? What you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why, again, like people are so drawn to this band and this genre, is because it's what we know, and they're writing it just so perfectly that like you get it, you understand it. So yeah, no, it's just cool to see, and like the process behind the writing and everything is just, it's cool, it's dope, and like you want to get inside their head basically.
Yeah, right? And I the other thing that I was thinking while I was watching it, and then today when I was kind of trying to come up with my notes and stuff was, okay, I don't even know if you remember this, but do you remember that you showed me the Wonder Years? Like I didn't know who they were until when we worked at Swanee Set.
Okay.
So try to create a visual for people here. When we worked at Swanee Set on slow days, especially in the fall and the winter and stuff, there was what was it called? First Tee, I think it was called.
Yeah,
like the shack.
First Tee Hut. Yeah.
Okay, so it was this. I mean, if you're going to golf, there's one at every course ever. You walk up, you check in, and then they tell you when it's your turn to go. When there was nothing to do, we would just hang out in First Tee, and especially on the slow days, we had a speaker and we would just like play music. That's when you showed me Alex Melton way back in the day.
Oh yeah,
and that's when you showed me the Wonder Years,
right? And
I had never really heard of them before.
Yeah,
and still like they were never my favorite band by any means. Not that I disliked them in any way, but that was already well into their careers.
Yeah.
So people already had their iconic Wonder Years albums.
Yeah, it came out swinging, had been out, and I think that the album The Greatest Generation was like out around that time, or it just recently came out, and that's kind of when I got into them, and that's when I showed you. So
yeah. So for me, I'm saying like my with quotations. You can see that in the YouTube video if you go watch on the YouTubes. Like my Wonder Years album is No Closer to Heaven, which is way later in their like sequence of albums. I think it was like 2014 or 2015 or something like that. And it was interesting to me because No Closer to Heaven gets brought up in the documentary because their producer says at one point that every Wonder Years album has a theme or has a story, and I think we've said that before about how the Wonder Years are really good at, or specifically Dan Campbell is really good at writing like concept albums. He's really good with that. And the producer in the documentary says No Closer to Heaven is the outlier, as in like that's the one that doesn't have a theme, which was so weird to me,
right?
Because to me, like that's that's the one that stands out to me, like I said, as my Wonder Years album. And that's the first one that I remember listening to and being really into the wording and the lyrics and the storytelling. And like one of their songs, Cigarettes and Saints, was just an incredible like ballad about one of Soupy's buddies that passed away. And so hearing the progression of that, which I keep saying like that's like my Wonder Years album. I hope everyone knows what I mean when I say that. But hearing the progression of that, which is apparently an outlier, apparently that one doesn't have a theme. Yeah. Going into this one where the theme is he's auditing his sadness. It was like it's really interesting. I thought that was really cool to see, and it also kind of jarring to me to hear like that's the outlier. Like, what do you mean my favorite one is the outlier? What are you talking about, man? Don't say that.
Doesn't have any meaning or anything. What do you mean? Yeah, no, it's good. And I think, just like the album itself, right? My album was The Greatest Generation.
Yeah.
Because again, it's just like the powerful lyrics, right? Like from that one was from, I think it was Passing Through the Screen Door, like Jesus Christ, I'm 26 with the people who graduated with, kids, wives. Like, did I fuck up? like, man, I wasn't 26 when it came out, obviously, but like,
man,
still a lot. Yeah, still a lot to relate to.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, it's shitty because like, it doesn't matter what you have. You're always gonna want more, based on comparing and everything like that. But there's always a little bit of wondering. But I mean, the lyrics for this last album, the hum goes on forever. I mean, like, that's the whole concept of that. The album is literally the album title, like the hum goes on forever, like that. The hum that is being talked about, I can't remember, it was in an interview or something, but like that hum it's that low droning hum of depression and anxiety, right? I can't remember where I read it. I was looking at I wanted to find, like, get things for notes and stuff before this, and I had this perfect website that I was gonna take like a quote from, but I looked at it today. I could not find it. I went through my history and everything. So I don't know where the source is from, but it's the idea that, like, when you are on your medication, or you are doing the things that you are trying to do to get better, like yoga, like meditation, or even medication, right? It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
There's just something that's either in the back or just there. But as you get older and as you go through with life and things, it's the tools that you gain along the way,
learning how to cope with it,
that make it easier. And again, the fact that now you have a family, now that you have, again, that reason to keep fighting, then things become manageable.
Yeah.
And that whole idea is just so powerful. And it's not something that anybody is going to relate to unless you're there.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I can't speak to the feelings of like having children.
Yeah.
Yet. Right.
Yeah.
But I have no doubt in my mind that as soon as, that time comes, right, those feelings are gonna be right there. And like, do you ever not listen to a song because it just makes you feel so sad?
Yeah. Often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of like these tracks and a lot of other similar tracks. Like, my favorite Motion City soundtrack song is, oh my God, it's blanking for me now. Hold on, I have to look it up. But it's, the fact that, like, oh man, just like realizing and like the acknowledgement of these feelings. Hold Me Down by Motion City Soundtrack.
Okay.
It's my favorite song.
I'm gonna put that in my Spotify right now. So
it's very sad. It's like more of a breakup song.
Yeah.
But again, like, obviously you listen to sad music when you're sad. I don't know why.
Well, you know what's funny is I mean, like, sometimes maybe this isn't a relatable thing. Like, maybe you're not this way, but sometimes I kind of want to be sad.
Yeah.
Like, I get in these moods where I'm like, everyone leave me alone. Like, I just kind of want to like sit in my feelings for a little bit. And it's funny because in certain circumstances, there's songs that I will listen to. There used to be this song by The Maine that I used to put on. I forget I can't remember it off the top of my head, but there's an episode of How I Met Your Mother that I put on.
Oh yeah.
When I really want to be sad. It's this episode towards the end of the show where like people will know it because it's the one where there's Ted Mosby and there's like 5 minutes from now Ted Mosby, and then there's 30 minutes from now Ted Mosby, and then there's also Barney Stinson 5 minutes from now Barney Stinson, so on and so on. So like, people who watch that show, it's a pretty iconic episode, but the ending of that is kind of an emotional ending. And when I'm in those moods where I just kind of want to be sad, I'll put that on, and it makes me sad, and then I'm like, goal achieved. Like, here I am.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of.
It's weird. Good. It's just like, and I've never watched How I Met Your Mother, so there we go.
The other thing that popped in my head there when you're talking about specifically the title, The Hum Goes On Forever, and learning to cope with it and stuff, that kind of sticks out to me because I've always said, like, when I was young, I tell people that like I've been anxious before people knew what anxiety was. Like, when I remember being in like grade 5, and like my like not I don't mean to take a shot at my dad because me and my dad are super close, but we didn't, like, nobody really knew what it was at the time, so it was a lot of like, come on, just get better. Like, it was a lot of that, and eventually I started going to counseling when I was younger and stuff. But I've told people to this in like present day, like even my younger brother I've talked to, and when I've been in counseling in my adult years and stuff, for me personally, when I'm having my like anxiety episodes or a bad head day or whatever, I don't get through them necessarily with tools that I've learned through these things, because of that what you just of the hum goes on, like it's always there, like it's always going to be there. For me, it's just this realization that, okay, like I know in whether it's 10 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, like I'm gonna be done with this. Like this is going to have passed. Yeah. So it's just a matter of like just gotta get through it.
Just gotta ride through it.
So that's what's going through my head when you're talking about the hum goes on forever, and when they're singing about these topics and stuff, is like, yeah, that hum is kind of always there. It's just whatever tools you have or whatever mentality you're able to use you just got to get past it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and just like back to the other conversation, just like purposely making yourself sad. Sometimes I'll do the same things with songs and stuff, and just be like, it's weird to feel like at home. Yeah. When you're like, it's weird. Are we depressed?
Isn't everybody? I mean, all of the music that I listen to is mostly sad music. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
I know every like song that I try to play like on acoustic and stuff, it's like, oh, can you play cover it? It's like literally all the songs I know how to cover are sad emo songs, and nobody fucking knows them.
Yeah, that's what you said when you came on the original Pop Punk Power Hour, when you were like,
it's true.
I think the start of the next song that you played, I don't remember which one it was, but you're like, this is another sad song that nobody knows.
Aunt Martha.
That's so what it was. Good. Yeah. Great
Love
song.
that band.
I always tell people like sad songs are the best songs.
They are the best songs.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're I don't want to just go and don't get me wrong, I love Timber by Kesha, but I don't want to just always listen to Get on the Dance Floor and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to listen to some well-written shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Oh, that's funny.
Do you have any other notes on the documentary specifically?
I think just like lyrics for me that kind of stuck out. Mm-hmm. Obviously the last song, like that is the most emotional from that album.
Big ending.
Big ending. Yeah. Holy. But I think like the song is "You're the Reason I Don't Want the World to End." I mean, even like the beginning lyrics, like were like, holy shit. Like, while the grave moves aside for the first time in my life, so I think that I got the dosage right. Devil in your blood, the dull, unmoored ache, the same one that haunted me, but bearings could rust and the circuit could break if I love you entirely. Like, holy shit. But wow. The one part that I think is a good like summary of the album, put the work in, plant a garden, try to stay afloat. Yeah. So good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Damn.
I think I get that tattooed on me.
Yeah, that's a really cool. That could go good with like the traditional American style.
Yeah, because I don't have a tattoo.
That's shocking to me.
I know.
That's really shocking to me.
Yeah, you'd think, right? But
if
that might be the one.
Not that I knew you when I was like 15. Okay, so like if you, what age were we when we met? Like 18?
No, younger. Because I started 16, 17, okay. I'd say.
If you had asked me when I was 17, which of my friends is going to be the first one to get a tattoo, right. I probably would have answered with you.
Yeah, no, that's
probably
fair.
My guess.
When I was in grade 8, I had like long hair, and everybody thought I was a stoner. Everybody, because like I like had the punk clothes, the alternative music, had the headphones. Yeah, I had this beanie hat.
With the brim?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh, it was so good. It was like my favorite. I wore it every day.
The brim is like, what are we doing? What's the brim doing? Is this thing blocking sun? It's so small.
Great. It's so great. But yeah, everybody thought that I was a pothead. I was like, no. And I hated people who smoked weed at that time. And I was like, you will not be my friend because that is bad. Weed is bad. It's so funny. I think two more things that I want to mention regarding the documentary specifically. So, one of them just really quickly, the part at the end when they are talking about going and playing a show and it's their first show in 2 years.
Yeah. I like that gave me chills, specifically when he's saying to the crowd, first of all, like the way they were booked to play that show is crazy. How it was within 24 hours. And
they got that much people to show up? Crazy.
How, you know, when he says the line, like it's been 500 some odd, I forget, he has the exact number since we've been on a stage together. And then he says two other things. One of them was you think you guys missed us?
Right.
Like, no, I'm getting chills right now. Like, we missed you.
Yeah.
And the way he says it, and like that, like I felt like that almost brought me to tears when he said that. Like how important this is to them.
Yeah.
Like, you think you missed us? Yeah, right. You have no idea, kind of thing. And then he gives forward one more number. I didn't know they were Philly-based guys.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like he says it's been 600 some odd days since we played a show in the best city in the world. And it's funny because I don't think anybody that's not from Philly would say that Philly is the best city in the world. But again, like being in that moment and watching the documentary, that like those 3 quotes just gave me chills for like 5 straight minutes of just like, wow, I can't. You just hear the passion come through in those specific. If it doesn't come through at any other point in the documentary, you hear it and you see it right there, and it blew me away. The other thing that I wanted to bring up with, and this, so like I said before, how I didn't realize this was recorded and written and everything during the pandemic. Yeah, and there's so many, like how he talks about how the quote I wrote down that Soupy says is, "This is the loudest my sadness has been in a decade," and we've talked about this throughout this episode. I was kind of wondering if that was amplified because of the fact that we were, or at the time, still in the peak of the pandemic. Yeah, and, I mean, we're not. I think we're still technically in it. I don't know. Everything is very much so relaxed, which is, I mean, like I'm way happier than I was this time last year, when we were still in it. But I remember thinking, I'm pretty sure that in the 2-year span that we were in heavy pandemic, like lockdowns here and there and vaccine passports and all that, I'm pretty sure everybody at one point had some kind of a breakdown. Yeah. And like I had one. Like I was on the phone with my friend Andrew and was I didn't mean to start, like I was intentionally just trying to vent to my friend. Right. And it was just about everything that was going on. And then I just started. I was driving home from school. I was in traffic and I was just bawling my eyes out and like, are people looking at me? Like, don't look at me right now. Yeah.
Mine was because I took too much weed.
Damn, you must have been in one.
I was in a fucking blender, man.
But that's kind of what I was thinking when he says this is the loudest my sadness has ever been. Is I was kind of wondering if we, and it's such a unique experience for us as the viewer, because if that is the case, we get this opportunity to watch someone in their saddest moment during this worldwide crisis. And it's becoming this, we get to watch it become this piece of art, like this creative thing that now we all get to consume however often we want. And they're going to go on tour, and I'm sure they've been on tour showing off these songs in their live versions and stuff like that. I just remember thinking, this is a really cool, as a viewer, this is a really cool experience to see this become this. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Totally. The transformation of what emotions, literally just emotions, can translate into.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
So for those who are watching, or if you are from the Wonder Years, or if you know them, I don't know. I got an email from Apple Podcasts. We're now 134 on the Canadian music charts for podcasts.
We are, baby.
So we'll bump those numbers up.
Thanks to the fans, baby.
Oh man, that's good. But anything else to cap up on?
If we were ever able to interview Soupy, that would be really cool.
I mean, I would love to do just like a season of interviews.
Yeah.
Just talk to some of the greats.
Yeah.
Right. So, hey, if you know somebody and you want us to get in touch, or you want them to get in touch with us, it'd be awesome to have a conversation with people. So if you like this episode, if you enjoy the show, we very much appreciate rates and comments, whether you're on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify as well. Rate the show. Tell us what you think. Join our Discord. Come follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok. We'll post cool shorts of I promise to post more. It's just been, it's hard using social media.
Yeah, it is. It's
really
exhausting.
is, especially when it's just like us two doing the show, right?
I mean, we'll get better at it, and I don't even think we're doing a bad job. Like, no. We're considering, like you said, it's just the two of us.
No, I want overnight success.
Yeah, fair. The other thing I was gonna say as well is, like, on the last episode we promoted a band. I think that's really cool. If somebody listening is in a band, or if you know somebody that's in a band or whatever, and you want to send their music our way, like send it over if we like it.
Yeah.
As long as they're like not shitty people.
Yeah, exactly. Or if we really don't like it, we'll also talk about it.
For the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And my last thing as well, obviously, I talk with my hands so much.
Sure do.
I always do this.
It's all right.
But that's a great segue into I keep talking about, go watch the YouTubes. One of the pieces of feedback that I keep getting from people, Jen has said this a bunch as well, but as well as other people, they say that we are very easy listening.
Cool.
Like we have we're like good hangs to just like listen to talk.
Yeah, we're your friends. We can hang out with us.
And if you want to get a little bit more intimate, you can watch on the YouTubes.
Right.
So go if you feel like just like hanging out, putting us on in the background.
Put us on in the background. It's a good idea.
Absolutely. Just I do that all the time when if I'm doing work at home or whatever, throwing a video podcast. If I have to edit something on ours, like if I'm trying to edit a TikTok or whatever, I do that with ours. I put it on in the background and hang out with myself and my good pal Colton.
But yeah, any rates, comments, likes you can do. Share it with your friends. Tell your friends, right? If you like the genre, that'd be awesome. To come say hi, come join us in Discord, because again, we appreciate any and all conversations, as you know, whatever we can do to make the show better. So we are the Pop Punk Power Hour. I'm Colton Easton.
I'm Tino Fair.
Yeah, come on, you're gonna get that. We'll start counting back from 10 again.
Damn it.
And yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.